Hello, welcome to my channel. Today, I will show you the recap of a 2022 Japanese anime titled Bubbles. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. In a part of Japan covered with bubbles, some orphan boys stay there and they play a dangerous game called Tokyo's Battle Core. The bubbles work with gravity, so they can fly as high as they wish with the bubbles. For the game, they divide themselves into two teams. A flag is kept far away, and they are to jump to the flag. The team that takes the flag wins the game and is rewarded with several food items. Among them are Shin and Makoto, who are government officials who are sent to do experiments on the bubbles. As they play the game, one of them, Usagi, jumps on a bubble and expects gravity to carry him up. He fails and falls into the ruins. That skill is only employed by one of the boys, Hibiki. Hibiki is skilled in jumping on ruins and is the best of the boys. Hibiki jumps on the ruin to save Usagi, after which he goes to pick up the flag for his team, the Blue Blazes. After the game, Makoto goes next to Hibiki outside their lodge. She jokes with him until Hibiki claims to hear a song from the tower around the bubble. He jumps in the tower's direction, and Shin goes after him. Makoto tells the story of how Tokyo became what it is. About 5 years ago, some bubbles fell worldwide, and everyone wondered what it was. Sometime later, a huge explosion of bubbles happened in the center of Japan, which was Tokyo. Scientists worldwide came to Tokyo to experiment with the bubble, but they couldn't reach a conclusion. Later, the bubble stopped falling in other parts of the world, except for Tokyo, and residents of Tokyo left the city. The bubble eventually became water and destroyed Tokyo. There is a tower in the middle of the explosion, and Hibiki claims he hears voices from there. Hibiki goes towards the voice. He gets to the part of the tower which is the highest. He summons his last energy and goes farther again. He, however, sees a creature and he gets distracted. He falls into the water and a bubble follows him. As he is about to drown, the bubble kisses him, creating a new creature, a human. She carries him out of the water. As he wakes, he asks her who she is, but she is new to being human. Shin comes there, carries Hibiki and the new girl, and takes them to the other boys. He introduces the girl as the one who saved Hibiki's life. As they all marvel at the sight of this new human, they see her jump around, open their loads, and even keep her hands inside hot water. They help her cool her hands with water. Shin asks them if the new girl can stay with them in their ryo. They allow her to stay, and Makoto takes care of her. The next day, she sings the song Hibiki has heard from the tower, and he is amazed by this. That evening, she follows Makoto into the library, and she picks a book about a mermaid and her prince. Makoto reads this book to her about a mermaid who met a boy and fell in love with him. She expresses that she is the mermaid. She goes to Hibiki and speaks for the first time. She calls herself his mermaid and calls him her prince. He is shocked. She is talking and he remembers their kiss episode. They chase each other and she teaches him how to play their game. During their dinner that night, she eats weirdly. Makoto asks Hibiki what name he would like to name her. Hibiki names her Uda, meaning song, and they get closer to each other. While Makoto is updating her experiments, Shin joins her and asks about Uda's well-being. He also shows her his new leg replacement after his tower accident. She asks him if they should send the boys away from the restricted location, as the tower isn't safe for anyone. But he replies otherwise. Hibiki takes Uda as he goes to water his secret flower, and he shows her what a flower is. She sees a seashell and goes to pick it up. They start a conversation where he asks her if she hears the sea humming. He says listening to the sea has always been his forte because it's peaceful. He narrates his past and tells her he had always found it challenging to live in the city because of the city noises. So when he was a kid, whenever he went to the train station with his mother, he would close his ears painfully. His mother was disturbed, so she took him to several hospitals, and he had to undergo different testing to find out what was wrong with him. When the bubble fell, he was in the tower with other people. When the explosion happened, he collapsed, so his memory of it was blurred. However, he was sure he heard a song. And that song was what brought him back to the ruins of the city. Uda goes outside and starts singing the same song. They sing together and jump through all the bubbles. Meanwhile, their opposing team visits their Rayo. Makoto is with her computer, and she notices a gravitational wave that started the day Uda joined them. As she tries to check the source of the waves, the opposing team, called the Morticians or Undertakers, come to kidnap her. The Undertakers leave a message for the boys of the Blue Blaze, challenging them to a fight and telling them the reward of the fight is Makoto. They realize that the Undertakers have been streaming their games to the people on the outside, and they want a more competitive match so they can increase their viewers. The members of the Undertaker team have the equipment needed for the fight, and they have none. However, Uda chews the challenge paper and tells them to go for the challenge. As they get there, they plan how they will win, and the game starts. Their leader Kai figures the Undertakers are luring them towards the vortex, and if they follow, they will fall into the pit and most likely die, since they don't have equipment like the Undertakers. Kai calls Hibiki to stop following the Undertakers, but Uda jumps into the vortex. Hibiki follows her. They climb on the tower together. As Hibiki gets to the top of the tower, he calls Uda to hold him and jump to take the flag. As she touches him, her hand turns into bubbles. She uses her second hand to take the flag, and they win the game. After the game, Hibiki notices Uda's hand. As he tries to check up on her, she pushes herself away. The Blue Blaze team celebrates their win. During their celebration, Hibiki relates with them for the first time. He tells them that success is for everyone, and they can mark the victory. They are all excited to have him relate with them. Meanwhile, Uda is by the flower side. She completes her story about the mermaid and says the mermaid sisters want her back in the ocean. In the middle of these thoughts, Hibiki walks to her. As they talk, the bubble returns, and one of the bubbles flows to Hibiki's eyes, and he sees she was the one he heard from 5 years ago. At their Rayo, Makoto notices the change in atmosphere. She checks and sees it's the same as what happened 5 years ago. She announces the second bubble wave and tells the boys to enter the boat so that they can leave. Uda tells Hibiki it's over, and her sister is here for her. She leaves him to stop the bubbles. She flies towards the tower, and Hibiki goes to the boat. In the boat, Makoto realizes that the source of the gravitational waves is the tower, and Uda may be there. She keeps this from Hibiki because she doesn't want him to risk his life by trying to save Uda. Their boat stops in the middle. Hibiki already figures out what Makoto is hiding. He takes a life jacket and attempts to rescue Uda. His friends stop him, so he asks Kai if he wants to go with him. Kai offers to follow him, and the other Blue Blaze boys offer to go too. Shin tries to stop them, but Makoto stops him. She tells him the boys may find the source. As they try to fly towards the tower, they realize there is no more stepping stone. Shin joins them. He insists they need an adult to lead them, and he will lead them. He leads Hibiki towards the tower. As Hibiki is about to crawl into the tower, He tells him to please save Uda. He crawls into the tower and sees a recreation of the exact scene of the 5 years ago explosion. He remembers he touched a singing bubble, which probably annoyed the pack of bubbles and caused the explosion. He also recalled that Uda saved him when he collapsed during the explosion. He touches his younger self and turns into bubbles. He sees Uda with her sister in the blue bubbles and attempts to jump at her. He fights all the red bubbles until he is unable to survive. He mistakenly enters the red bubbles, and he is about to drown. As Uda notices he is in pain, she leaves her sister and runs to meet him in the red bubbles. She hugs him and drags him out. On Earth, Shin tells the others that the tower will fall, and the tower is about to fall already. The red bubbles attack the lovers as they leave. Uda turns into blue bubbles. The blue bubbles fight the red ones until they reach the ground. He drops her down as she eventually turns into full bubbles. The Earth returns to normal, and all the buildings destroyed in Tokyo are built again. At the movie's end, the boys play the battle core again happily. As Hibiki runs, Uda follows him as a bubble. Thank you for watching the recap. Kindly subscribe to our channel to get notified when we post the next video. See you next time.